Hello guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, I wanted to talk to you about thinking in English and how you can stop translating in your head. So I think the main reason why you might have problems thinking English is that 1, your level is just too low, 2, you hate challenges and like staying in your comfort zone, and 3, you just don't listen to enough English. And I'll be discussing these 3 problems in this video. So let's start with the first problem. Your level might be too low. Guys, it's very natural for us when we first start learning a language to be, unfamiliar with the most important rules, the patterns of a language, and that's why we always have to translate, because for us, this language still doesn't really mean anything, especially when we don't communicate with native speakers from the very first day. And here I want to use myself as an example, because when I talk about English, I started learning English a very long time ago. And right now, my level is obviously very different from what it was like 8 years ago, right? So I think it's better to talk about my Chinese or even like my Spanish learning experience, because I have just started learning Spanish, and it's a very interesting thing for me because I'm a complete beginner and I use myself as a guinea pig in this journey. And every single time I learn a new expression, a new phrase, I always try to maybe come back to Russian, or for example, the pronunciation in Spanish, right? I try to connect it with some of the words in English or Russian instead of just thinking about it as a separate language. But it's very, very natural, guys. This is something we do in an unfamiliar situation. We try to remember the things, the patterns we already know. And this is the exact same thing that happens in language learning too. So for you, the reason why you can't really switch to English, you can't forget your native language, might be just because your level is not that high, and it's totally fine, guys. You shouldn't be worried about it. You shouldn't be criticizing yourself for that. Just enjoy the process, and one day, I promise you guys, one day you'll start thinking in English. Let's now move on to the second problem. So the second problem lies in our human laziness. A lot of people are very lazy, and I'm definitely one of those people. I think it's very natural for us to be lazy sometimes, and I'm not gonna tell you guys that I'm never ever lazy. And so the second problem is that you really like staying in your comfort zone and you don't like challenges. You feel like you're pretty comfortable. You actually don't care if you translate or you don't translate. For you, it's good. Your English is fine, you don't really care. But I think the reason why you actually clicked on this video is that maybe you actually do care, just a little bit, this tiny little bit, and this is something that is bothering you. And so I have the same problem when it comes to sport. I like sport, and when I was a little kid, I always did gymnastics and then track and field, and then I also did cheerleading for some time, so I was always very active. But right now, because of work, obviously I use it as an excuse. Sometimes I just don't want to exercise, I don't want to run, I don't want to do yoga, I just don't want to do anything. And this is for me staying in my comfort zone, because my comfort zone includes reading books, watching something on my computer, scrolling on my phone. It is my comfort zone. And right now I'm actually reading a memoir by Will Smith, and there he says that if you're comfortable, you're not growing. And guys, just think about it. I think it's so true, because again, if we use sport as an example, let's forget about English for a second. Let's imagine you wake up at like 6 a.m. to go run. I think for a lot of people it's going to be very uncomfortable. We don't want to wake up at 6 a.m. on a Sunday to go run, but this is exactly how you grow, just doing those little challenges, getting out of your comfort zone. And again, the same is true about English. You have to feel uncomfortable. You have to feel weird sometimes and challenge yourself and get out of your comfort zone. And a very good example here might be joining an English speaking club, because speaking for a lot of people is very, very hard. But speaking is actually part of this process of rewiring your brain and making it think in English. And when I created my own English speaking club, I was pretty uncomfortable too because I had to teach a lot of students at the same time. And for me, it was a challenge. I'd never done anything like that before. But I still decided to keep on going, to keep on doing this English speaking club. And right now, it is my pride and joy. I love my students and I love talking to all of them at the same time. And I can honestly tell you guys that thanks to this English speaking club, thanks to being a little uncomfortable at first, I have grown so much. And I really hope you'll do the same with English. And now let's talk about the third problem, which is that you don't listen to enough English. I've just talked about speaking for a little bit, but what I think is even more important is listening. And actually, guys, while preparing for this video, I read an actual scientific research paper on listening and language learning. I know I'm a total nerd, but basically in the paper they said that it is so important to dedicate more time to listening than to any other aspects of language learning, like speaking or reading or writing or doing grammar exercises. Of course, speaking is extremely important too. This is how we communicate. But if you don't have this opportunity to speak in English every single day, because for example, a couple of years ago, I didn't have this opportunity, right? And a lot of people use it as an excuse. But here, what you can do, you can dedicate all this time to listening instead. And listening is exactly something that helps you get familiar with all the rules and patterns of a language, something that I've talked about when I was talking about the first reason, like that your level is not high enough. And the way you can get to this high level is by listening a lot, and a lot. And again, here I can use myself as an example and talk about my Spanish journey and my Chinese journey, because with Chinese, it was pretty interesting. When I first started learning Chinese, I learned it in college. And unfortunately, in Russia, no one really wants to speak Chinese or even English to you in class, which is really sad. And we spent a lot of time on grammar. And well, guys, you know what happens when you don't listen to anything in Chinese, you don't watch anything in Chinese, you just do grammar. You don't learn the language, you know all the rules, but you can't speak and you can't think in this language. That's the main problem. And then when I was at home one day, I was like, I can't do that anymore. I need to do something about it. I need to do it myself. If I go to college, I attend all of these classes and they're not giving me anything. I can't just sit around and complain. I have to do something about it. So I found some Chinese dramas and I just started watching a bunch of them. But as was expected, it was too hard for me. And obviously what happened is that I was discouraged. I was like, nah, don't want to do that. I'm just gonna complain and go to college and attend classes and do grammar because it's easier. It is in my comfort zone. It was not something I wanted to do at that time. And again, I was comfortable, which meant that I wasn't growing. And so there was one time when I discovered a YouTube channel where the creator was speaking Chinese, and it was so much easier for me to understand them. And I was like, okay, so maybe now I can actually improve my listening, improve my Chinese. And of course, at the very beginning, it was really hard for me too, because I was like, oh my God, he's speaking too fast. He's saying all of these words, like he's merging them together. I can't follow him at all. It's so complicated. But I decided that it was time for me to stop complaining, to stop being comfortable and start growing. And basically what I want to tell you guys with this story is that at the very end, I found myself sometimes thinking in Chinese. I can't say right now, for example, that I always think in Chinese. No, it's not true. Right now, I think in English and in Russian, because obviously Russian is my native language, and English, I think I have a pretty high level in English. I work in English, I read in English, I watch something in English, so that's why my brain is able to actually think in English. I sometimes have thoughts in Chinese, from time to time, like fun expressions, for example, but like not full-on phrases or dialogues with myself. And guys, if you really think about it, I think even right now you are thinking in English a little bit because you are watching this video, and I'm sure you're not translating every single word I say. So again, I'm a huge believer that listening is the most important skill in language learning, and this is something you should really focus all your attention on if you want to switch your brain to English and stop translating in your head. And I also wanted to remind you guys quickly that I teach English and Russian on italki, where you can book a class with me and also get $10 as a gift from me. As always, all the links are going to be in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. On my channel, I also have another video about thinking in English, about switching your brain to English. So if you're interested, you can keep on watching and click right here. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!